Pyramids, majestic, mysterious, and built by happy volunteers? No, forget what Hollywood told you. Those slave stories are as fake as a mummy's skincare routine. But here's the real tea. Pyramid building still sucked. Sunburns, sand in places sand shouldn't be, and pharaohs with egos bigger than the Sphinx's nose. Let's unearth why this was history's worst gig economy job. Stick around, because the next few minutes will reveal secrets and hardships that make your 9 to 5 look like a breeze. Like finding out your office job isn't built on blood, sweat, and a whole lot of sarcasm. 1. The slave myth debunked. Turns out, pyramid builders weren't slaves, they were paid laborers. That's right, these folks got compensated in beer, bread, and maybe a little extra for a rainy day. Sounds chill until you realize that paid meant barely enough to keep you from dying, and sometimes dying was the job perk. Historians like Herodotus even wrote about these laborers as free citizens doing a sort of national service. But don't get it twisted. Free in ancient Egypt meant working 12-hour days under the relentless sun with no chance to call in sick. It's like Uber Eats, but instead of a tip, you get existential dread. Yeah, they were free, but freedom meant work till you drop. Ancient Egypt's version of a 401k, a burial plot next to your boss's favorite chariot. Imagine clocking in every day knowing your bonus is a shot of fermented barley and the promise of a graveyard plot if you slip up. Not exactly dream employment, right? 2. The working conditions. Now picture this. Dragging 2-ton limestone blocks across scorching desert sands with the sun beating down like a spotlight on your misery. These workers didn't have sunscreen or water coolers. They had nothing but the blazing heat and a constant assault of sand. Sand in your sandals, sand in your lunch, sand everywhere. The only thing worse than the heat? The blisters that made your skin feel like a badly wrapped mummy. And the tools? Rocks. Literally. When you ask, "Hey, Imhotep, can we get a wheel?" the answer is a shrug and a wet stick. Innovation was on backorder, and every day was a grind, both literally and figuratively. This wasn't some cushy construction gig. It was like trying to build your house using nothing but your bare hands and a few crumbling bricks, while wearing sandals in the desert. Hard work, constant pain, and no modern benefits. 3. The health hazards. Let's get real. The health hazards were off the charts. Broken bones from lifting those giant stones? Check. Sliced toes and other accidental amputations? Check. And when dehydration struck, all you got was some fermented Nile water that tasted more like regret than refreshment. They didn't have sick leave or health insurance. If you got injured, the work comp was a free burial in the mass grave. Pharaohs didn't care if you were hurt, as long as you kept working. Talk about ruthless productivity. The only benefits you enjoyed were a faster trip to the afterlife, and maybe a commemorative scar to show your boss how dedicated you were. Not exactly the perks you brag about on LinkedIn. Think about it. Every stone you moved could be the one that broke your back. Now, that's a harsh return on investment. 4th, the Pharaoh's demands. Then there were the Pharaohs, the original micromanagers with god complexes. They'd order, make it taller, make it shinier, and for the love of all things divine, add my face to every brick. While the workers were thinking, can we not die before lunch? These kings were absolute tyrants, treating every command like it was a matter of national pride. Every day was a race against time to meet impossible standards. And if you dared question the process, well, let's just say ancient Egyptian HR wasn't exactly known for its compassion. It was perfection or perish, ancient style. The Pharaoh's demands turned every block into a personal monument to their ego. It wasn't just work, it was a daily reminder that you were a cog in a machine built solely to glorify someone else's vanity. 5. The reality of daily grind. Let's break down the daily grind. Pyramid builders woke up with the first rays of the sun and worked until it went down. No weekends, no holidays, just an endless loop of grueling labor. Every day, they faced the scorching heat, unpredictable weather, and the constant risk of injury. This wasn't a job, it was a brutal survival challenge. Imagine if your modern job required hauling 2-ton blocks instead of spreadsheets. No coffee breaks, no casual chats, just relentless, back-breaking work that left you exhausted and wondering why you ever signed up in the first place. Every shift felt like a marathon with no finish line. And unlike your typical office burnout, this exhaustion was real. You were literally wearing yourself out, stone by stone. 6. The legacy. Sure, pyramids are now celebrated as wonders of the world. But let's not get it twisted. They came at a brutal cost. Millions of man-hours, countless injuries, and a level of suffering that would make your worst modern job look like a walk in the park. All of this, so a dead guy could flex on Instagram, if Instagram existed back then. Historians and archaeologists continue to debate the true scale of these labor forces. But one thing's clear. These monuments were built on the sweat, blood, and endless sarcasm of workers who got no recognition, just the cold, hard reality of a job that sucked. Every time you snap a selfie in front of a pyramid, remember the untold story of endless labor and human misery that made it possible. It's a monument to our ability to endure, even when the price is unimaginably high. Section 7. The historical context. Let's add some extra history here. Ancient Egyptian society wasn't built on slave labor like the movies suggest. Instead, they used a system of corvée labor, a kind of national service that every able-bodied citizen had to perform. It was tough, and while they got paid in beer and bread, it was hardly a day at the beach. Scholars have noted that these workers were organized into gangs with names and even had a sort of union spirit. They built these wonders out of necessity and pride, but with a heavy dose of hardship. The laborers left behind graffiti on the walls of the pyramids that read like ancient memes. Bitter jokes about the heat and endless labor. It wasn't glamorous, it was survival, and it was grueling. In a way, these workers were the unsung heroes of ancient civilization. They built structures that have lasted millennia, even if their job descriptions read more like a curse than a career. And while we marvel at the pyramids today, it's important to remember the real cost behind that beauty. Conclusion. So yeah, pyramid building sucked. No slaves, but still a masterclass in human suffering and brutal labor. Every block laid down was a middle finger to work-life balance. A grim reminder that sometimes even the most awe-inspiring monuments are built on unimaginable hardship. Smash that like button if you'd rather work retail than build a pyramid. Comment your worst job horror story. Mine's probably babysitting my cousin's demon fairy. And subscribe, unless you're a pharaoh with a pyramid complex.